take a look at Apple. Apple stock, AAPL ticker, sitting at $162.88 per share right now. Looking at the overall news sentiment picture based on articles parsed out in stock market news coverage and scored by our Babel sentiment algorithm. Just looking at this chart, I'm seeing the trend line over the past few weeks going up for Apple in their news sentiment, this red and green line. And at the same time, the blue area line in the back is the price, and that is going steadily downwards over the past few weeks. So immediately, just looking high level, we're seeing a divergence between Apple's price and its news sentiment recently. The price is falling. The news sentiment is becoming more optimistic. So that leads me to believe that Apple could be under hyped in its price heading into its Q1 earnings report later this week. Apple reports its fiscal second quarter earnings after April 28th close. So in the afternoon, analysts are anticipating 143 in terms of earnings per share for the iPhone maker, I guess is how they're phrasing it here, which is up 2% year over year. Its revenues are expected to be right around $94 billion at a 5% growth from last year. So right away, earnings per share at $1.43. Okay, not too bad. The growth, relatively small, but they're expecting growth. So that is reassuring in itself. Let's see. What did they say about... Okay, so this right here is talking about COVID shutdowns in some of its manufacturing places. Seems like this has something to do with, I guess, rising costs for Apple, potentially a headwind relating to supply chain issues. So the numbers on the balance sheet look relatively reassuring. Just looking at that article, let's take a look at a bearish article now. So Zero Innovation, this analyst just downgraded Apple stock to sell, says shares could plunge over 40%. Wow. Okay. So this is a nice bearish case to complement our bullish case, really round out our information biases, I suppose. So this is a very speculative article right off the bat. We can already say, shares, anytime you see a headline saying shares could plunge over 40%, that's the main point they're trying to make, is they're trying to grab your attention. So let's see. This lists 9 reasons why he's bearish on Apple stock. Sales in the Ukraine and Russia. Okay, that's a lot of different companies. COVID lockdown in Shanghai. Stock price appreciation based on stock buybacks. Taking debt. Losing ground in 10K and higher education market globally. Developer ecosystem is getting weak, and investor optimism on Apple services revenues is misdirected. Okay, so he's taking a shot directly. He's trying to kind of cover his back by saying that this optimism we're seeing recently is misdirected. I guess to me, that's a little silly that you could just say everyone being optimistic about Tesla is misguided, basically just trying to straw man his argument by saying everyone else is misguided. I don't love that. But at the end of the day, he does list some credible reasons, I suppose. Not all of the things he's saying in here are bad. So I don't know. We have 2 points here. Looking at those, let's see if there's any other snippets that jump off the page to us. Apple's Q1 gross margin hits 5-year high of 44%. That's reassuring. The price of Apple stock rose to a high of nearly 183 before dropping back to its current price ahead of market close. So it just recently hit an all-time high, which could be a reason for the downward trend. All in all, Apple's stock recent all-time high price heading into earnings. Its financials, at least by accounts of analyst estimates, look like they'll be moving upwards, which is reassuring. If Apple can meet those projections, I think the news is expecting Apple to meet those projections just based on the optimism we've seen over the past few weeks relative to its price downward movement. So Apple here for me is definitely worth keeping an eye on, potentially worth buying heading into earnings, just based solely off of this surface level sentiment. So that's all I'll say about Apple. Of course, do your research. make sure that you have more conviction than just looking at the sentiment versus the price heading into earnings. But potential for a little swing here if you get in before earnings and you think that Apple will ultimately beat the decently easy projections from Wall Street. So that's all I'll say about Apple.